Hello chess friends and welcome to Jozarov's chess channel and welcome to my series The Best Chess Games of All Time. So in this series we see the best of the best chess games that have been ever played in chess history, and today I wanted to show you again a very nice game played by Boris Gelfand. So in this series we had already one game by Boris Gelfand with a very nice queen sacrifice, and today I wanted to show you a game. It was played in 2004 against Alexander Shabalov, and the funny thing is that here Boris Gelfand played this Shabalov attack. So he played the attack that was invented by the Shabalov himself and crushed him really in his opening line of the Slav defense. And I really love this game because it's really an aggressive one. We have many tactical possibilities in these lines. So I myself used to play in some occasions this Shabalov attack. I had really good success, but I managed then to lose a couple of games and wasn't satisfied. Then after that, maybe after this game I'll try the Shabalov attack again. You'll see what's all about. It is with this very early G4 flank attack in the semi-Slav defense with sort of a delay. And what I wanted to say is my brother, maybe you're familiar with my brother, he's also a chess player. He plays under the name Ronaldinho on Lee Chess, so maybe some of you have had the opportunity to play against him. He's sent me this game today, and he's really something. My brother, he's always searching some cool games for me for the series, and when I saw this game I had to publish it immediately because I think it's a really beauty. And I wanted to also thank my brother for posting me this game. So let's see now the game. We have here d4 by Boris Gelfand, and here d5 by Shabalov. c4, we have c6, the Slav defense, knight on c3, and now knight on f6. Knight on f3, e6, we have now the semi-Slav defense, and now e3. In some variations you can also undermine a little bit this pawn chain that black has created, but here Boris Gelfand goes in this fast development continuation with e3. We have knight from b to d7, and in the semi-Slav defense the main idea is to wait to a little bit delay this move order and wait for white to play this bishop on d3 move. And if that happens, then you have d takes c4, and then you have again the tempo with the move b5. So this is the main idea. So that's why Gelfand plays here queen on c2. He's delaying also a little bit the situation in the center. He is not allowing now this continuation because he hasn't played so far with the bishop. So if black takes now, of course we're going to take, and okay, black has this idea with b5. But now you see, when we play the move bishop on d3, we have already created sort of a battery, and the main idea here is to play then after the move the move e4, e5, and deflect this knight from the defense of the pawn on h7. So you see, it's a whole different situation than if we just play the bishop on d3 and then black recaptures here with d takes on c4. So here after queen on c2 we have bishop on d6, and this is this main idea of this attack. We are waiting black to take to play something somewhere with this bishop. When that happens, it can also be the move bishop on e7 or bishop on d6 or even bishop on b4. Then we have this most aggressive line with this move g4, and this is now the so-called Shabalov attack. As said, I've played it many times. I had good success, but stopped to play it. I don't know myself why anymore, but maybe I should really go back into this line. Here g4 was played, and you see now, if you take knight takes on g4, then you get rook on g1, and we are really damaging now immediately the king side with this potential rook takes on g7 idea. Still we have possibilities to attack here the pawn on g7 h7, and after that, so it's a really aggressive line. So here after g4 one of the best ways for black is this continuation d takes c4, because we're waiting also this white's move, maybe here the move g5, because we can always fix the knight here on this potential square d5. So let's see now, maybe g5, then of course we can simply play knight on d5, and if bishop takes on c4, we can simply take. After queen b takes c3, we have now, well, a little bit simplified position, and it's hard now for white to castle. In some occasions white will even stay in the center here, because if you castle queenside here, you see you have already weakened your queenside with the move b takes c3, and if you castle kingside, you have also pushed your g pawn too far away from the king, so you have many holes here on the like square. So I said this wouldn't be a good continuation for white. So that's why here d takes c4 and bishop takes on c4 was played here b6. But here I think, well, black should have played maybe even b5. But this b6 was sort of an idea to put this bishop immediately on this diagonal and create this covered attack on the knight on f3. And Gelfand closed this diagonal immediately with the move e4, and of course bishop on b7 was played, and now the fun starts. The fun starts really from this point on. It's really a tactical beauty here by Boris Gelfand. He plays, of course, e5 with his double attack on the knight and the bishop on d6, and of course Shabalov plays here c5, liberating this diagonal for the bishop, and of course with an attack on the knight. But okay, here Gelfand took immediately e takes f6, bishop takes on f3, and of course we have f takes g7 with an attack on the rook. So that's why black has to react first. Rook on g8, and of course queen takes on h7 with an attack on the rook. And okay, here black finds some counterplay with the move knight on f6. The rook is protected, and we gain now a tempo on the queen. And Shabalov's idea probably was here, okay, in the next move I can take the rook. But you see, it's not so simple in this position to take out the rook, because white has built a really nice activity with his pieces. This pawn has a huge strength in this position, because it's really blocking out this rook, and you see this rook will stay in this position till the end of the game. So this will be a huge monstrous pawn here on g7, and cannot be taken in the whole game. So that's why here bishop on b5 first by Boris Gelfand. And you see, you cannot also now play, of course, knight on d7, because you lose the rook. So that's why king on e7 was played. And this was now Boris Gelfand's idea. We have forced now black to play with the king here on sort of an unnatural square. And okay, it's not about material anymore. We have the advantage of this pawn. We have now the centralized king here. So as said, even if Gelfand loses here the rook, he has still good compensation in the continuation of the game. So that's why he played first bishop on g5, of course, with this pinning idea. So we want to stay really with this queen here on an active square. And here bishop on f4 was played. Here Gelfand plays queen on h3, and this is now a really brave idea, because what to do now from black's perspective. If you take bishop takes on g5, then you get queen on f3, and you see we have sort of an attack on the rook. So if you play here knight on d5 in order to close this diagonal, well, then we can play simply on the attack on this bishop h4, then bishop on h6 has to be played, and then maybe d takes c5. If you take out this pawn, which is really annoying, then we have simple castling here. And if you take, for instance, bishop takes on c3, then we have b takes c3, and you see now these rooks are really deadly on d and e files. So this would be really deadly with this king in the center. Still we have the flexibility here on the king side with these two pawns. We can maybe play even on promotion, but here if you take instead of here knight on d5, if you take c takes d4, well, then you get this annoying check. You see this diagonal was really important for Boris Gelfand. Then you have to bring maybe the knight in between, but now of course we have first the attack on the bishop. Here, if queen on c8 is played, then we can simply takes, and if king takes, then we can grab a piece, and this is of course a completely winning endgame for white. So really annoying stuff here. That's why you see here Shabalov took out this rook, so he didn't take this bishop on g5, and here bishop on f4 played by Gelfand, and you can try maybe here the move a6, but it's really dangerous, you see, because you see this bishop is really effective here. So if you try to kick it away, well, then you get bishop on e5, and if you for instance take the bishop, then you have this pinning idea, so you cannot protect this knight on f6 anymore, so you're forced to go away with the king somewhere here on d7 for instance, and we can simply take bishop takes on f6, queen on c7, and here simply opening up the d file, which is the most important thing. If queen takes here, queenside castle, if the bishop comes in between to protect somehow, you see, then you have this very annoying move, queen on h5 with the double attack, which is the most important thing. You see on the bishop supported with this knight and the rook, but also here on this pawn on f7. So really nice attack by Boris Gelfand. So if you try something like c takes d4 instead of a6, then you get here simply queenside castle. Again, you cannot take the knight on c3 because of this very nice d file that this rook has occupied. So rook on c1 can be played, but now again with the same idea, bishop on e5 with an attack on the knight. So we are playing sort of a reversed pin here, again with the idea queen on h4. So that's why here maybe black can play rook on g7, but here simply we can take out this pawn on d4. And if you try something like rook takes on c3 here, we can simply take. Still we have the pinning situation, the queen cannot go in the game actively, so you can try maybe again knight on d5 to close somehow the d file, and well, this is still annoying. We can simply take, or we can play king on h4, queen on h4 with this attack. We're continuing the game with this bishop pair. Still, we have this protection on this of this pawn on g7. So many tactical possibilities here for white. So very nice calculations by Boris Gelfand. So that's why in this particular position, after bishop on f4, queen takes on d4 was played, and now queen on g3. Again, the same idea. We want to stay in the position on dark squares, so we want to bring also the rook on the d file. You see, this knight is very weak, so that's why Shabalov decides to solve somehow the problems here with the knight. He plays knight on e4, and here queen on h4. Again, this annoying check on dark squares. You see, black has many dark square problems here around the king because of this pawn, because black would love to escape with the king here on f8, then his problems would be solved, of course, but that's not possible because of this very annoying pawn on g7. And as said, you see this rook is stuck a little bit to the defense of a potential promotion here on g8. So that's why after queen on h4, well, here Shabalov tries the simplification, trade off the queens, go into a favorable endgame with his two rooks, with the exchange, the rook for the bishop. But Gelfand simply doesn't allow it. Of course, he plays g5, and here queen on f5 was played, and now queenside castle. Now we have this idea that was prepared all the time. We have tactical possibilities as, for instance, g6 with some discovered checks. So we have also cut out this d file for the king. So that's why here rook from a to d8 was played by Shabalov, and he tries really to escape somehow with the king. I would play, of course, the same move because you have really a natural king's position here. So that's why here first rook takes on d8, and here king takes on d8 was played. If you try rook on d8, this is now very cool stuff that that Gelfand has prepared here. Then you get knight takes on e4, and for instance bishop takes on e4. You get this one, g6. So if you try something like f6, well, then you get here this very annoying move, knight, the promotion to knight. So of course you have to take. Rook takes, and then you get simply queen on h7 with this double attack on the king and the rook. If you try, of course, king on f8, then you get checkmated on f7. So if you escape, then we can simply take. So for instance here, instead of f6, if you try queen on f6 to prevent this idea of these checks, then you get again very nice move, bishop on d6. It's really funny, this darks were problems around the black's king, so of course you cannot take with the king because you lose the queen on f6, so you're forced to take with the rook. But now you get this one, again the promotion with to knight here, and we have now the fork, so you have to escape with the king, and here we can simply take out the queen again. So nice tactical play here. So that's why after rook takes on d8, king takes on d8 was played. But now bishop on d3 with the spinning idea here. Finally, now Shabalov took out this annoying pawn on g7, but it's already too late because we have knight takes on e4, and here Shabalov tries rook on h7 because the threat was also, of course, queen on h8 with this double attack again on the rook and the king. But here bishop on c7 was played by Boris Gelfand. In this position Shabalov resigned because the problem is here. You see, if black takes, of course, then we have here simply queen on g3, and here if you try to escape somehow with the king, then we can simply take attack the king. If the king moves, we have even here checkmate threats. And the problem here, if you try to escape on a like square, you see, then you get some forks, and if you try even to escape on any like square here, pardon me, here after if you try to escape here, maybe on this like squares, d7, b7, or even c6, you get always this discovered checks ideas, and here queen on d6 possibilities, and you simply lose the queen, you'll simply lose the material, and this will be, of course, completely winning here for white. So as said, very nice tactical game by Boris Gelfand, and I really like Boris Gelfand's games. He was also a world championship challenger, so as said, he knows how to play chess, although maybe not these days he's not in this top grandmaster level, but for sure he deserves all of respect because of this beautiful chess games. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this game. We will continue, of course, with this best chess games of all time series. Meanwhile, you can watch my other commented chess games in which I show you some games from some current tournaments, and you can also watch my computer chess games with some Leela, C0, Alpha Zero, and Stockfish chess games, and you can also subscribe to my channel. Thanks you for watching, guys, and chess is the best, of course.